Hello and welcome to Business Africa. I'm India Yoka. Here are the headlines for this edition. Morocco-Madagascar Generation Z takes to the streets to demand reforms and opportunities. We will see how this online bond movement also exposes young people to increase in cyber threats. In our second segment, we head to Riyadh, where Business Africa covered the Global Cybersecurity Forum, a crucial event as Africa seeks to strengthen its digital defenses and invest in local talents. From Rabat to Antananarivo, young people are mobilizing for their rights. But beyond this highly connected movement lie significant digital challenges, from cyber threats to disinformation.
From Morocco to Madagascar, youth are speaking out. In recent weeks, thousands of young people, mostly from Gen Z, have taken to the streets to demand sweeping reforms. In Rabat, Casablanca or Marrakesh, they are denouncing inequalities, poor access to education and healthcare, and the lack of economic opportunities. In Antananarivo and several other major Malagasy cities, they voice anger over water and power shortages, precarious living conditions and failing governance. These movements also have a strong economic dimension. In two countries where youth unemployment exceeds 25%, Gen Z is calling for more inclusive growth and an environment that fosters innovation. Mostly peaceful and coordinated on social media, these protests also raise new challenges: misinformation and personal data protection. According to the 2025 Global State of Authentication Survey, Gen Z, while highly connected, remains especially vulnerable to cyber threats, as explained by digital security solutions specialist Ronnie Manning from Ubico.
Gen Z stands out as the most susceptible demographic to phishing, with 62% reporting that they have engaged with, meaning they've either clicked the link or they've opened an attachment from a phishing scam in the past year. And this is significantly higher than other age groups.
Despite their digital fluency, these young people often remain poorly protected against online risks. On a continent where more than 60% of the population is under 25, the central question remains: how can we secure these digital movements while responding to their political and economic aspirations?
With us this week is Mr. Fawaz Moussougan. He is a cybersecurity consultant and expert. He will share his insights with us. When young people organize on platforms like Telegram, Discord or Instagram, what digital risks should they be aware of?
As young people, it is completely legitimate to want to change things and to protest. But the main cybersecurity risks when organizing these kind of movements are first and foremost the exposure of personal data. When you go online, you risk revealing your contacts, your locations, your schedules, anything like photos or identifiers. And another major risk is the proliferation of fake accounts. Provocateurs can infiltrate legitimate groups, and bots can also enter private groups. Disinformation is another big issue. Manipulated images can spread, and misinformation can mislead participants, even those who are legitimately involved in protests. We saw this happen, for example, in Morocco. Other risks include technical attacks, but also surveillance and abuse of data collection. States, for instance, can infiltrate these groups, use network surveillance tools, and intercept communications. All of this is part of the main risks that activists face.
In this context, how can authorities ensure security while respecting digital freedoms of protesters?
There are a number of laws that already exist at the African level. I'll take as examples the 2014 Malabo Convention and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. It is important to mention this charter because Article 9 guarantees freedom of expression and the right to information. From a legal point of view, if I take the case of Morocco, there is Law 0908 relating to the protection of individuals regarding the processing of personal data. The state positions itself as the guarantor of compliance with these laws and also as a regulator against those who infiltrate these spaces. The state has a duty not only to monitor these flows, but it is somewhat difficult because when these profiles infiltrate groups, it is not always clear who's behind them. And in the case of platforms like Discord, it is an American application. African countries do not have direct access to the user data on these platforms. This makes things more complicated because the line between legal and illegal activity is thin.
We're talking about a highly connected youth who are still vulnerable online. Don't governments have a responsibility to raise awareness and provide education?
Governments do invest, but today at the African level, awareness raising is not necessarily taken seriously by many states. Morocco, for example, has made significant investment in this area. Benin has also done well, and it is a model that is being replicated in neighboring countries. But the first thing that should be done is to have not only protests, but also people who are informed about data protection. Another important mechanism is combating disinformation. There are not really initiatives to support fact-checking at the African level. There are platforms like Paradigm Initiative, and there are smaller projects supported by foreign embassies in Africa. But these projects do not thrive. I'm not saying that there are no initiatives on the topic, but people are not well informed. As soon as an information circulates, it immediately becomes viral, even if it's false. Today, the economy is no longer limited to a digital space, which is why it's not always seen as a major priority by governments. Digital technology is becoming part of most daily activities, so one way or another, significant investment will be needed to strengthen digital resilience.
Thank you so much for those insights.
Thank you very much.
Cybercrime remains a major challenge for Africa. At the Global Cybersecurity Forum, leaders and experts explored ways to tackle it. Brigitte Ugwe reports.
For 2 days, the debate centered on artificial intelligence, quantum computing and international cooperation, with one clear goal: building common strategies to respond to threats that don't have limits anymore.
This is indeed a borderless threat by nature. That requires collaboration across borders, because threats that are arriving in Africa will primarily come from abroad. So we need to have the global focus. No country, no continent can fight this in isolation. So we need Africa's competences, we need Africa's know-how.
Africa has unexplored potential. While countries referred to as developed on average invest $30 per inhabitant into the digital space, on the African continent it's less than $1. For former Senegalese President Macky Sall, these regional differences need to be addressed by educating the next generation.
We are lacking capital. We are lacking investment in this sector. It must be a priority, just like agriculture, just like education. Our schools must be connected. Our children from the age of 10 or 11 must be like children all over the world. That is why I say that the GCF must evolve into a global international body, a body that includes the United Nations, the nation states, but also the major digital platforms like the GAFAM, that is Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon and Microsoft, to work together to bridge this gap.
On the sidelines of the forum, the Global Initiative for Strengthening Cyberspace Abilities has been launched to tackle the lack of experts. Spearheaded by Saudi Arabia and supported by several UN agencies and Interpol, the initiative seeks to build a safer cyberspace around the world.
Defense alone is not enough. In Riyadh, cooperation and training were also highlighted as key to preparing Africa's digital future, particularly by strengthening skills.
Across Africa, the digital revolution is accelerating from mobile banking to smart governance. But as connectivity grows, so do cyber threats. Cybercrime costs Africa an estimated $4 billion annually. Training initiatives like Interpol's Africa Cybercrime Desk have made progress, but they remain limited.
We had 40 people in a room in Rwanda, heads of cybercrime. We were training their staff and their officials around investigating cybercrime, but it's a drop in the ocean as well. You know, it requires funding, it requires investment, it requires sustainability. And quite often we see countries who mean well, who will put some money into a country or region for a short period of time, but it's not sustained.
The question remains, who will sustain Africa's cyber defence? The private sector is a key player but needs a solid environment to invest. Fragmented policies and weak frameworks still hold back cybersecurity growth across many African countries.
Those who want to export technology in Africa, they need to have a scale. What do we have today? In many countries in that geography, we have fragmented approaches, fragmented legislation, fragmented framework. So if we want to develop opportunities, it's important to ensure that the foundation in those countries are solid.
Already, about 39 of 54 African countries have implemented cybersecurity legislation. Private sector investment in digital infrastructure is also starting. The World Bank's IFC is investing $100 million with Rexio to build data centers across several African countries.
That wraps up this edition of Business Africa. To watch this episode again, visit africanews.com and our digital platforms. See you next time.